No.
Yeah, they are just completely eating each other up. This is a free-for-all bloodbath. It's crazy.
It is crazy. Bloomberg really took the brunt of it right in the beginning. I even gave some thumbs up to Pete, to Elizabeth, the way they attacked him. I really thought it was funny the way Joe Biden was kind of going and trying to hold Bloomberg accountable for his sexual predator activities, and they are there. It's going to be really bad. Seriously, it's going to come. You're welcome, everybody who says thanks for doing this, but this is something serious. It's going to come up to play. If you think that we can replace Donald Trump with another Donald Trump, another billionaire who is always belittled women, has been disgusting with women, it's terrible because it's not going to happen. Only Bernie is the only opportunity. A Tulsi Gabbard, another progressive. Those are the only choices we have, and the fact that she's not on the stage and he is just shows you how disgusting the Democratic Party is. I think that Elizabeth Warren has done well for herself today. She's kind of went at it really hard. She went after Bloomberg, and she had her own moment. I wish Bernie was on that side. But Bernie even took his shots as well. I don't know. You guys tell me, how long do you think until Bloomberg is out of this whole game? He's only here to disrupt, in my opinion, in 3 states, New York, Florida, and California coming up this Super Tuesday. And it is a little depressing seeing this today, the way everything is going here on the mainstream media, because in California, we have our own problems with our voting system coming up. If you haven't seen our videos, please go and do so. We had an actual poll worker inside the studio. We distorted his face, his volume, so he remains anonymous. But he told us about the nefarious actions taking place. We also have been out and about filming the registrar, filming his assistant, Jeff Klein, Dean Logan, these people. And they led a misinformation or a disinformation campaign, however you want to put it, where they sold us this whole new vote center system that you can go to any vote center system, and the day of, you can change your registration. Now, you can go and change your registration the day of. If you're an independent, change it to Democrat, but the only problem is you get a provisional ballot. And we see a lot of people in the woodwork still trying to okay these provisional ballots. Provisional ballot, by definition, is awful. It is a ballot that is not officially counted until it passes further validation from a human being. So it can go into this kind of like limbo area where they can throw it out, keep it. There's arguments to how many were counted last time in California. Have some people, we're coming back. Here we are. Join us at the break. Like, share, subscribe. ROKFIN. Endorse us if you.
It's an issue that uniquely impacts Nevadans. John Ralston from the Nevada Independent kicks us off now.
So, y'all ready to play some Nevada trivia now? I'm only half joking here. Let's talk about this issue because it's up there in polls. Voters are really concerned about it, as you all know. What you might not know is that Las Vegas and Reno are the vibrant economic engines for the state of Nevada and are also
Okay, everybody, Pasta back with the ROKFIN exclusive coverage of the Democratic debate in Nevada for the primary caucus coming up this Saturday. It was very interesting. I got Jonny Tsunami here with me on the ones and twos. We got 225 people, 226 people over on the ROKFIN. If you're on the YouTube, you want to see the footage, please go on over to the ROKFIN. It is free to watch. And if you have a few extra bucks, endorse the CONVO couch for $9.99 if you can. Right now, we got a Bloomberg commercial going on in the break of the debate. That's how corrupt our system is. But I just want to point out right on the top of the hour when we got started, we had Joe Biden talking about climate change and what we need to do, get us back in the corporate, into the Paris Agreement. But take a look right here. This is Joe Biden, the fracker-in-chief. He has ties himself to the fossil fuel industry. His co-chair is a big oil and gas booster. And then you got Mr. Pete, Mayo Pete, come jumping in. Same thing, right? Okay. Once again, Pete takes money from the fossil fuel industry. You can see billionaires, climate activists disrupt Buttigieg in a rally in New Hampshire. I missed that. I wish I was there. I was in New Hampshire, and I got pushed away from Mayor Pete myself. Now, I just want to say that I think Warren is having a great debate tonight. I'm not a big Warren fan, but she is having a great debate, especially when she got to play the middle ground between Bloomberg and Bernie. Don't get me wrong. The last couple Bernie shots have got in. He's got some great shots in when he told Bloomberg, hey, congratulations, Mr. Bloomberg, on your tax cuts because you got money. You made a lot of money. And he says that billionaires shouldn't exist. Bloomberg fought back and said, yes, it should exist, and he couldn't think of any better way for Donald Trump to get elected, being the fact that he was talking like a communist is what he said. Bernie Sanders was able to point out to democratic socialism. Democratic socialism is capitalism. Democratic socialism is capitalism. Democratic socialism is capitalism. I know he doesn't hit it all the time because like a lot of young people like the fact that we're having a the socialism talk. He also talked about the way socialism is there for the rich and not for the poor. And somebody else put out on our thing, and it was amazing. I copied it because I haven't done a lot of these, but they said today, another worldview. He or she is on our Reddit, our ROKFIN. It says corporate socialism equals corporatism equals fascism. And it is exactly right. Fascism, a part of it, is when the corporations control the state, and they certainly do. You might have heard a little back and forth talk about what really crashed the economy. They were trying to say it was redlining. Bloomberg kind of pointed out what really happened, a small bit of it. But once again, it was the nefarious actions of these big corporations, these big banks, who sold off these CDOs, which were bonds of bad loans that were written because when the loan market got deregulated, they were handing out mortgages like they were candy, and they knew they would default after a couple years. A couple people found that out, and that's what it was all about. Now, when that happened, Bloomberg was part of that whole coronation of helping and bailing these banks out because it helped his interest. So therefore, the banks got a bail. And also, too, I want to get back to Elizabeth Warren. When they were fighting, okay, and they were talking simply about Bernie Sanders is over here, Bloomberg's over here. They were kind of going back and forth about it, She was able to say, well, hey, I'm going to just raise it by a couple percentage, and that's going to raise some amount of money. She really got to play that middle ground today, and I think she is really having a great debate today. Like I said, she's gone after Bloomberg better than anybody until the last couple times that Bernie finally got in there and got some shots. But, yes, that's so far I got it. And Joe Biden is Joe Biden. I think Amy Klobuchar was kind of silent this time around. Between this break, she had a much better start off to this debate. And right now, I got to say that Warren is having the best night for herself. And Bernie has really come on strong at the end, so that's really good. We're back here. ROKFIN.
Causes like climate change, gun safety, education. If his money wasn't a problem then, why is it a problem now?
Oh, I think he should absolutely be doing everything in his power to defeat Donald Trump. I just don't think that has to result in him becoming the president of the United States. Look, our party has values. We were built around values like making sure we protect working people. But Mayor Bloomberg opposed raising the minimum wage. Our party has a tradition that includes excellent presidents like Barack Obama, who Mayor Bloomberg opposed. At the end of the day, it's not just about how much money you've got. It's what you stand for. And we are living at a moment when Americans are so deeply frustrated with the way that both Wall Street and Washington seem to have overlooked our lives. You know, the view from the porch of my one house
5 minutes.
They let it go. And Chuck Todd had to say, I'm going to have to let this one fucking go because we got too long out there. She really took it personal, and he kind of kept his cool this time.
Yeah. And then in the first part of this debate, they also, kind of were
Little
going
jabs.
after each other. Little jabs, which then she got personal. She felt personally attacked.
Well,
they're just tearing each other down, which is great, honestly.
The one line that she said that I thought was amazing is like, it's really great that you haven't been in this arena, but yet you could just memorize, some talking points and use them against me, because she did at the end of the day. She's like, she said that, and that's what he did. He didn't have to go up for those votes, and he's had his own problems with people of color in his own town. Remember we had the video of Mayor Pete throwing people out of an underpass during the holidays of Thanksgiving, homeless people wrecking their camp with a bulldozer. It was really bad. So, I mean, his hands are dirty too as well. Klobuchar not knowing the Mexican president, trying to come back to it today. She had a really good chance to go over that. She just said Manuel Obrador. She should have said his full name, practiced it, had it, and talked about him being the only one to be from the non-major party of Mexico to win the presidency, that he's a true pioneer. She should have said something like that. Once again, she does not have the chops on foreign policy for my liking whatsoever. Bernie?
That final question, they're basically just laying it out there that they're going to freaking contest a convention and not going to give the everybody there said
except for Bernie
said that
let
it play itself out.
Let's play it out. Once again, Elizabeth Ward tried to cherry pick it a little bit, but once at the end of the day, she fell through. She followed through at the end of the day, which is pretty much what Elizabeth Ward's about. She'll show these flashes in the pans, like she did tonight. And she got very lucky that Pete Buttigieg was tied up with Klobuchar, that Pete Buttigieg couldn't go back at her and say, what about the money you took? He did it in the last debates. You took the same money from the same donors during your Senate run, and you passed the money over. So, it's typical Elizabeth Warren, where she kind of plays the field. She seems like she's much better than the other candidates, and she probably is, but she's not the answer we're looking for, Johnny. At the end of the day, I think she will just continue to do the status quo. When it comes to foreign policy, she is just not there. There hasn't been enough foreign policy talk as well. And let's not forget, once again, Joe Biden, again, saber-rattling with his geopolitical enemy, fucking China. Again, this is dangerous right here. This is dangerous. He talked about the Belt and Road Initiative, how it's going to spread dirty coal all over the place. Well, we
And the big prize, Super Tuesday on March 3rd. We'll be following it all for you. For now, for all of us at NBC News, I'm Lester Holt. Good day.
Okay. See that, John Sims
and
over
so
there.
begins our coverage. Brian Williams here with you
Get
in
those
New
fuckers
York.
out. All right, so we're over there, guys.
Of course,
Brian Williams. Johnny, we are defined by the beauty of our weapons. You're going to go live to on YouTube, right? We're going to wait until we get some people coming up on. Fiorella and Tina are out there working the room, seeing what we can do. Let me just say off the bat right now, the little shot that Biden went right after Bernie Ford. Biden's got some fucking nerve, okay? I don't give a shit if we curse, they take us down. Thank you, John Sims, for simulcasting props for the LA election work, by the way. Super chat contribution. It's always appreciated on the couch. But let's get back to Joe Biden, because Joe Biden's got me heated right now. We're talking about this Ukrainian aid that Johnny kind of brought up a couple weeks ago. What's in that aid? We took a look at it and who it's going to. But if you haven't seen Ukraine Under Fire, RT's been playing it again, and we'll talk about all the people who took place. Joe Biden gave the thumbs up for regime change in the Ukraine, which is now one of the most poorest countries in the world. They're still amidst in a serious civil war. The people of Donbass just got weapons to protect themselves because they've been under this threat and this attack of the Western Ukrainian neo-fucking Nazis who we put into power. So don't sit here and tell me anything, Joe, about refugees and the refugees that you caused. Meanwhile, the administration, you're the guy with Obama, who Obama tore apart Honduras. Okay? So don't give me that shit. There he is,
Bernie's
Joe
going
Biden.
up to Joe Biden.
And I'll get him, Bernie. Bernie's tapping him. I'll get your ass later. You want to talk that shit? No. Joe, come on now. You said I lose, you get me a Knish. That was the deal. I'm walking away. There's a Nathan's over in New York. They have great dogs and great Knishes with brown mustard. Thank you very much. Pasta is the man, says Aaron Wayne. We love you guys. You can join us on any one of our platforms right now, whether it be the MCSC Network, YouTube, the Convo Couch YouTube, but we still got a lot of you guys playing around over on the ROKFIN. We really do appreciate it. And if you have a few bucks to endorse us, guys, $9.99, do so. We want to apologize about the technical difficulties in the beginning, but we got it through and we got it on, and we will continue to get it on. Remember, this Saturday, me and Johnny will be here in the studio while our boots on the ground, Fiorella Isabel and Tina Desiree Berg, will be in the caucuses, looking around, trying to find out what's what, paying attention. We always pay attention to the vote. We did last time. And I think that, when it comes to Fiorella now, and when they're out there, the thing that drives them the most is, like, they want to be there when the vote's being counted. They want to be there when the vote's being seen. After Fiorella got bamboozled and she left, her and Tina, and then they did the coin flip after, remember, like, oh, there's the Iowa Betty Dumas, we thought it was. But we all of a sudden a coin toss out of the blue when it was 60 to 101 in this one precinct. And Iowa was just terrible. Hi, Jacqueline. They have protested the results in 12 different precincts. The head of the Iowa Democratic Party has resigned. Why? Because they forced him to use the shadow app, which meant everything go fugazi. Thank God the Sanders campaign on the back end had themselves a little app check themselves. They got an app for that, and they were able to really cover the bases and expose what the Democratic Party did. We also looked at the exit polling, how it was so out of whack in New Hampshire in certain areas where they had the AccuVoting machine, the counting machine, which is closed source proprietary software. In other words, we don't own it. It's not open source. We can't look into it. Now, I know there's going to be some election integrity activists out there who feel that we should hand count no matter what. That is cool. I know there's some people out there who want to get to open source, maybe with a blockchain type of technology for accountability, and then therefore recount and have the hard copy recounted for accuracy. That is the debate that's going on when it comes to election integrity. But we do have a serious problem going on here in California I'd like to talk about. And that is Dean Logan, the registrar, has obfuscated and lied and sold with his little assistants, Jeff Klein and all those other guys, has sold us a system where it's a vote center system, and he is encouraging people to come and change their registration the day of the vote. The only problem is you get a provisional ballot. Now, I am sick and tired of hearing people say, well, provisional ballots count in California. You don't have proof of that. There's a lot of proof against that. It's a gray area. Okay, I estimated there was close to 1 million of them thrown in the trash last time. But by definition, a provisional ballot is a ballot that is not validated until it has more clarification to validate it and make it official. Okay? And that means it's in limbo. From the day you sign it, it goes into a box, and it ain't counted until somebody else says it's counted, a human being. And I'm not going to trust the human beings in California, especially the establishment. They are pretty down. Johnny, what are we looking at right now?
Nothing. They're just closing up shop.
So they're closing up shop over there. We're going to keep you posted. We're going to see if we get a little time in there with Fiorella Isabel, Tina Desiree Berg. Guys, if you haven't gone over there, and Bob Saget, how you doing? We have an app for the ROKFIN on the Apple iPhone. There's not one for the Android yet. But if you're like me and you have an Apple phone, go on over to the ROKFIN app and join on up. We will be covering our caucuses, and we're going to start early. Remember, the caucuses open at 10 a.m. They start to convene at 12. So we're going to get a couple guests in here speaking. Shahid Buttar has just reached out to us, too, as well. He's going to get on the show and give us his opinion. I'd like to hear what he's got to say about Elizabeth Warren. I think Elizabeth Warren had a great performance tonight for herself. Once again, I don't see eye to eye on a lot of things. And she calls herself a capitalist to the bones. And every single time you hear somebody go, oh, yo, I'm a capitalist to the bones, why don't they take the opportunity to say, hey, listen, we're already a quasi-socialist kind of country. Now, Bernie Sanders talked about the socialism for the rich, which leads to fascism, because the state, the corporations are now running the state, and they own our government inside and out, all the lobbyists, all the donors, they run the shit. But a person like Elizabeth Warren should say, yeah, listen, I believe I'm capitalism, and even Bernie Sanders' plan, democratic socialism, is a capitalist plan. In other words, we can have a capitalist system, but we should have a roof on how much people can make, and we also need to take care of the most vulnerable in our society. There are too many homeless people on the ground, sleeping in the streets. It's terrible right now. We're close to 650,000 across. That's almost 1 million people we're getting coming up to in a couple years if we don't stop this epidemic. It's terrible. And the richest nation in the world. And healthcare, once again. And also, too, I really wish that somebody would take the chance to say, let's not talk about healthcare, let's talk about sick care. This is why I miss Marianne Williamson, okay? We need to have a system that not only just helps us when we get sick, when we get cancer, when we get our diseases, we have to have systems in play to help us and stop us from getting to cancer, from getting to these diseases. Why? The food we give our children, the sugar. I mean, Jesus Christ, I have some too much myself. But what we feed our children is pretty bad. We should stop it on that end. If we start on a sick care problem and we start working it from that end, maybe we'll have less people getting sick. I'm not saying that healthcare isn't important, but that's something we need to address as too. Where the chemicals we're putting all over our food. Remember the Dark Act? Monsanto? That's another thing. Thank you, Barack Obama, for all you Barack Obama supporters out there. I think you need to stop. But we're poisoning our food. You know what I'm saying? And even when Michelle Obama talked about the food in the cafeterias, that was one of the good things I think she did talk about. But that's something that we need to talk about. We need to give loans, federal loans, to people who want to create fast food restaurants that are healthy and using other options other than meats and fattiness and terrible foods. We really need to get in there and change our whole system. So, once again, the debate ended today. Me Too Pasta, Marianne Williamson is America's mom, says the super progressive. So we're gonna take a look and see what's going on. When we get Nevada in, we will let you know. We have our boots on the ground, and we'll hear what they have to say. And more or less, let's see how the people of Nevada and Las Vegas feel about this debate. Very interesting thing going on. Nevada had early voting. Vegas had early voting. However, we don't know how it's going to count to the actual tallies at the end. With early voting means it only goes to the popular vote. It doesn't go to the major vote. So the realignment, same thing as Iowa. You have to reach viability. You have to have 15%, and then they can go over to another side or they can leave, whatnot. I want to send a shout out to Chris DeShillis out there in Vegas.
You can't hear me.
Hopefully he's doing some work. And yeah.
Costa, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Oh, you can't hear me. Okay, can you see me?
No.
I cannot see you.
No.
But we can hear you.
You can hear us, but you can't see us?
Yeah.
Hang on.
Let's take a break.
We're going to take a quick break, and we're going to come right back. Guys, stay with us. Our boots on the ground.
Sorry.
Tina Desiree Berg, Fiorella Isabel. I am Pasta Jardula. Jonny Sue. You are joining us for the debates here on ROKFIN. We'll see you soon. CONVO.
All right.
Welcome back to the Convo Couch, ladies and gentlemen. I am Pasta Jardula, Johnny Sue on the ones and two in the studios, and our boots on the ground. Our ladies, the dream team, Fiorella Isabel and Tina Desiree Berg. How you guys doing, ladies?
We are great.
We are here at the debate watch party for the official Bernie Sanders campaign. Bernie and everybody else just got done speaking at the Las Vegas Paris Hotel at what was a very kind of other terrible debate. I mean, it was pretty bad, in my opinion. From what I was able to listen to it, their sound wasn't working very well in here, but yeah, it was just really bad. Again, attacking Bernie on his medical records, on his health, and also, again, how are you going to pay for it, Bernie? I don't know if they have any other things to attack.
They don't. It's the plutonomy versus everybody else. But I spent the night actually talking to caucus goers, and also a lot of volunteers are here from out of state. I spoke with some folks that are here from Iowa that I'd actually met when I was there in Iowa. We met some folks from Indiana. I met somebody from Florida. I met some folks from Canada. So they're not even U.S. citizens. But they all understand the importance of getting Bernie Sanders elected. So they've come into town for the week to help canvass, to help knock on doors, and to help kind of sway voters to Bernie Sanders' positions. So I think he has a good chance.
What is it like, the sentiment for those people who just came in from Iowa, as far as witnessing what happened in the caucuses over there? Yeah, witnessing what happened in the caucuses there, Tina.
Yeah,
what do they feel about the caucuses here? Because not only do we have almost the same system that we had over in Nevada that we had in Iowa, and hopefully we're not using that stupid app, but we have early voting, and I heard there's also some talk of some ranked choice voting. I'm really confused at what's going on.
I don't think they know what's going on. But I will say this. One of the guys, there was 3 or 4 of them here from Iowa. One of them actually did see my broadcast from inside Precinct 80. So he was aware of the coin toss situation, and he was thankful. Look, the campaign released something earlier today saying that they're almost at equality now. They're at parity with beat on the delegates. So we've actually prevailed in that essence. I think having boots on the ground in all of those caucuses helped the campaign, and the fact that we had something to back up the claims was helpful. So they're getting those delegates back from the recamps, which is a good thing. So they were actually very excited. And one of the things that the guy said to me is like, I want to pay it forward. When I was in Iowa, I noticed that people came to my state to help out. And so I want to do the same thing, which is why I got on the plane today and came here. So I think the sentiment is good. Now, as far as the actual, I think it remains to be seen. There's a lot of confusion around this early voting and how it relates to the actual caucus on Saturday. And the problem that I always have is they might have laid out rules for these things, but they don't really communicate these rules properly to the voters. They don't communicate these rules really properly to poll workers or volunteers that are in the Nevada party. Same thing as California or anywhere else. So confusion happens, and we can have that conversation as to whether that confusion is on purpose or whether it's just incompetence. I don't know, but I'm leaning towards intentional confusion at this point, only because of what we witnessed in 2016.
Well, yeah, I mean, Pasta, and we can't forget that Pete Buttigieg.
Fiorella, take the piece from Tina and switch it real quick so your mouth is close to the. You're too muddled.
Yes.
You have to switch that.
Okay, so I was just gonna say that you can't help but wonder.
It's our makeshift lavalier mic.
Yeah, $600,000 Pete Buttigieg has invested in ads here in Nevada via an illegal super PAC. So it's not like these things aren't coming from somewhere. They're coming, and people are aware. And Nina Turner earlier at a canvas rally where she was kind of prompting people up to go canvas. She was talking about, Bloomberg and how he was buying the elections. And she talked about how we actually won in New Hampshire, won in Iowa, and we all need to continue pushing against the neoliberals. And she said the word neoliberals. And the thing is, this time around, everybody is a little bit more hypervigilant because of what happened in Iowa. People aren't taking any risks. People are trying to find out where they need to be. I have a precinct captain here that wants to. Matthew Donovan is from California. So if you guys want to ask him some questions, he's from California. And you guys can ask him questions about why he's here and what he's going to do.
All right. Hey, how you doing?
Can you hear okay? Yeah, I can hear. Yeah, hey.
Look right into that camera and introduce yourself, please.
Hi, my name's Matthew. I'm with the Future Left. We're a group from Los Angeles. We're out here meeting people in Las Vegas, and just really excited to be a part of the energy here with people in the caucus.
So, what are you doing in California right now? What is your role there?
So I am the co-founder of Progressive Voters Guide with CSA LA, and we do various coalitions with lots of activists across LA.
What are your thoughts about what's happening with the voting system in LA right now? It seems to be a lot of muddying of the waters, and a lot of people are unsure if they're going to get a provisional ballot or not. Do you have a take on that?
I don't have an official take on that, no. I know that there's a lot of controversy within our circle about the voting system, but no, I'm not an expert on that. I don't think I can comment on that.
Can you break down the Nevada caucus procedure?
Can I break it down?
Yes.
I don't think I can break down the whole procedure. I think what's going on right now is we have the early vote, and it's from the 15th to the 18th. Those votes are going to most likely be the majority of people that take place in the caucus. Those caucus votes will go into the caucus, and it'll have the same threshold of 15% to qualify whether or not the candidate will get any delegates, basically.
So you're telling me the early votes will help the viability stage? In other words, if somebody's there and he only has a certain amount of votes, we'll be able to pull those votes over to see if they're viable or not? Or is it just are they going to add it on to the popular vote like they did in Iowa? You know, or you don't know that?
No, I don't think it has. There's no element of popular vote happening here in Nevada. No, it's more that I believe that we will get a lot more turnout here because the early vote allows people to have a more flexible schedule. A lot of people voting are working class individuals who can't take place in the caucus process. It's usually 3 to 4 hours and quite alienating to many people that aren't part of this political class. So it's a form of voter disenfranchisement, and as we saw tonight, we will continue to see a decline in the caucuses across the U.S. We now have 7 caucuses. Most likely, those caucuses will soon be a thing of the past, and more voting systems will be about enfranchising voters as opposed to disenfranchising voters.
Do you know anything about the ranked choice voting that we heard about in Nevada, or is that kind of just a myth as well?
Oh, yeah. So you have 3 choices, basically. You have to choose 3 choices or your vote does not count. They're doing that because it would allow poll workers to fill in the blanks, basically, for the other 2 candidates if you only select one. There is some confusion about that, but yeah, you have to put in three candidates just in case your first 2 candidates aren't viable.
I see.
That 15% threshold.
Did they do that in early voting? Was it ranked choice voting then too as well, or was it just one candidate?
It's the same whether or not you're in the caucus or whether or not you're doing early voting.
Perfect. I don't know how they're going to figure that out, but it see's like some type of fugazi math. Hopefully they get it together. What do you think the energy is for Bernie Sanders out there? Do you see him with a clear-cut advantage with a lot of a big support out there over everybody else compared to like maybe the Buttigieg or the Klobuchars or the Bidens?
Well, what we see on the ground is that there's surprisingly, well, I would say first that almost everyone is either a non-voter or they're a Bernie supporter. We see when we do meet Bernie supporters who are really excited. They, even if people aren't voting, they don't feel like they're part of the process. They support Bernie. People that, like, for instance, I talked to a mom yesterday that, she works crazy hours. Those hours don't fit with even the early voting, but she supports Bernie. I met a guy was basically, on the way out with his life. He was on oxygen, and he couldn't go to the polls either because he's too weak, right? And he supports Bernie, and he said to me that he was really excited that we're fighting for him, and that he's fighting in his own way. And what that means is that he is fighting for his life. So while we're fighting to get him Medicare for all, he's fighting for his life. And he broke into tears talking about that with me, and so did I, honestly. The kind of people that you meet up here are people that have issues, and those people are the ones that support Bernie. Sometimes you'll meet Tom Steyer supporters as you walk around or drive around Vegas. You'll see Tom Steyer billboards everywhere. You'll see flyers. He's really saturated a lot of his ad spend and his budget here in Nevada.
Did he have a presence tonight? Was his group around there tonight? That mean the fact that, and what were their opinions about the fact that they weren't allowed to participate in this debate? I know that Tulsi Gabbard fans were really upset seeing Bloomberg on that stage. I wonder how the Tom Steyer fans felt as well.
No, I haven't heard anything. No, I haven't heard anything. I see some Tom Steyer presence. He is number 2. And then after that would be Warren, probably tied with Biden. But both of them probably have focused on other states.
Thank you.
Yeah. And you said you're a precinct captain, correct, for Bernie Sanders?
Yeah, well, it's called a site lead. So I'm not sure of the difference between a site lead, but we're going to be helping come in.
You said site lead?
Yeah, site lead for people that are coming, that are Bernie supporters. We're going to help them throughout the process,
and you'll be observing and making sure no crazy coin tosses happen. Okay, great.
Are all the caucuses covered this time? I mean, we have everybody covered. Does Bernie have big enough army to make sure that somebody's available in every single caucus across Nevada?
I have no idea. I doubt so.
Well, which precinct are you at?
I don't know. Yeah, I'll have to find out later.
Well, thank you so much for your time. We do appreciate it. If you can find Fiorella or Tina, that would be great. Let's go back.
Okay, thank you so much, guys.
Appreciate it. We'll see you soon, my man. So that is in Nevada. Fiorella is going to jump right back on. Fiorella,
what's up? Yeah.
How you doing? So
good.
Fiorella,
so pasta.
Talk into that microphone. Please hold it up to your mouth.
It's right by my mouth.
There you go. Hold that up as you speak.
You got to hold it, though, because it doesn't sound
good. Yeah, it doesn't. As it goes behind
it.
you, we can barely hear you. So what about the Yang Gang supporters? Do we see any Yang Gang supporters here today? And who are they kind of matriculating to?
Any what supporters? I'm sorry?
Yang Gang.
Yang Gang. So I sent you guys a video. We drove by the Paris hotel where the debate was held. And there were a lot of Yang supporters still outside, kind of being sad about Yang not being there. And yeah, they were just there. But what we also ran into was this group of people that were anti-union, right? And they framed it as, oh, none of the Democrats are for unions. They were like, they had a sign that said, Elizabeth Warren isn't for the union, Biden isn't for union. And so I said, oh, what about Bernie Sanders? And then they were like, oh, Bernie Sanders isn't for the union either. And so I looked up the card the gentleman gave me because I was like, oh, I'd like to interview you more because they were saying that the unions were taking all the money and they weren't spreading it around to teachers. So I was interested in talking to this person more, but there was something about them that kind of like put me off. So I Googled the card they gave me. It turns out they're a consulting company for Michael Bloomberg. And they're over there protesting as if they care about unions when they really don't. And they're saying that the unions are terrible. So I sent you guys a video, and you guys should show it later. But this is the mechanisms that people like Bloomberg are using to send these quote-unquote protesters that are advocating for unions but really against unions under the guise of Michael Bloomberg. So.
What have you seen a lot of Bloomberg people aside for these hidden trolls out there? Any organic grassroots support?
No, he doesn't have any grassroots support. If you recall what I said about the Intercept information that was leaked, that was all from staffers for Bloomberg. So all these staffers that are getting paid $6,000 a month are pretty much working for him, but then they're going behind him and giving information out against him. And I don't know if you saw the debate, but I want to ask you guys, what did you think about the questions regarding the convention? Because to me, it seemed like none of them were going to commit to nominating the most popular candidate. It seemed to me that they were already letting us know that even if it's Bernie Sanders, they're not going to do it. That's what it came across to me. I don't know about you guys, but that's kind of what it came across to me, that they were going to find a way to do whatever they could do to not nominate Bernie Sanders based on whatever. And that's kind of the sense that I got.
Well, that is the correct sense. They all said they should follow the rules that are. And as we know, if Bernie doesn't reach the threshold, then therefore they're going to go to the second round and they're going to do their picking of choice to the best oligarch that they want in place. So that's something we have to look at, and it's going to happen. What about Yang today going to CNN to be an analyst? What do you think about that?
About one more time, repeat that?
Andrew Yang is now going to be an analyst on CNN.
Yeah, so, okay, Andrew Yang being a CNN correspondent to me.
Hold your microphone to your mouth.
Andrew Yang being a CNN correspondent to me, it's such bullshit. Like, if he wanted to prove that he was going to be part of the status quo, he did it. With that alone, people are saying, and some of his defenders till the death are saying, oh, well, at least we have a progressive voice. No, we don't. Andrew Yang was never really progressive. He was anti-establishment. And by joining the propaganda machine that CNN is, he has cemented himself as somebody that's willing to play ball with the establishment instead of going and endorsing somebody like Bernie Sanders or even somebody like Tulsi Gabbard. To me, by working for the machine that keeps perpetuating the system, you are inherently saying, I'm going to play the game. And even if you want to think that you're going to change them, the money's coming in, bro. They're going to change you. And that's what it comes down to time and time again. People think they can change the system by taking its money, and you cannot do that. You simply cannot do that.
What about the thought process that says, hey, man, we do need to get a progressive in there anyways to speak for us, to be that voice, because, you know, if Bernie Sanders had to drop out one way or another, they would say go on CNN and MSNBC to give us that voice.
You can go on CNN or you can go on MSNBC, but if you're going to be a paid correspondent, then that's a whole other story, right? Like, you can do, and even Anna Kasparian, I've criticized for even doing this. And Francesca Fiorentini, we've criticized for going on MSNBC now and being a correspondent all the time. Like, she's hired now. I don't believe in that. I think you can have progressive voices speak outside of that media. It's nice when they invite people over and they have every now and then, like Crystal Ball or some other people to go speak. But at the same time, if it's something that you're going to make a habit and you're going to be like a host and you're going to get paid to do that, then you're taking their money and you're using their platform and you're not changing anything. You're not empowering another platform. He could have started his own podcast. He could have gone on some other network that's not CNN. But instead, he chose to do that. And then, to me, that just means you're pretty much saying you're going to be part of that system. You're not there to change the system. And if we saw anything in this debate is about actual change in the system or not. It's about the oligarchs versus the people. And it hasn't been any more clear with Bloomberg and Buttigieg out there today versus Sanders than it's ever been. So,
yeah. What about the Tulsi people out there? We see a lot of that Tulsi gang out there, hoping that there was a unity between the Yang gang and the Tulsi people. She didn't make the debate stage today herself, and a lot of people are disgusted by the fact that Bloombito got to go up there and buy his way up there. Have we seen any presence from the Tulsi people out there whatsoever?
I have not seen any Tulsi people. I was looking for them at the location at the Paris Hotel, but I didn't see any of them. It's unfortunate because I was really hoping that there would be some sort of protest, considering the fact that it's not just about her, but it's bigger than her. But at the same time, if I were her ardent supporter, I would be very upset that, she played by the rules, as did many others, and then Bloomberg was given a pass because of his money. And I think that was an opportunity for her supporters and other people to really play that up and really continue talking about it. And I've seen it online, and I've seen it like in here as far as people talking about Bloomberg shouldn't be on there. That's not fair. But I haven't really seen it on the ground. And I feel like it's something that should have happened. Granted, Tulsi didn't really concentrate in Nevada at all. So I can kind of understand why there weren't that many people there. So,
Johnny.
So right now I'm showing on the screen is the speaking times by the candidates. And we see that Warren actually led the speaking time with 16 minutes and 45 seconds. Klobuchar was in second with 16 minutes and 4 seconds. Sanders was in third with 15 minutes and 48 seconds. And then proceeds Buttigieg, and then Biden, and then Bloomberg was last with 13 minutes. Your thoughts on that? Did it feel like Warren talked a lot? I didn't think so.
I mean, I think it didn't feel like Bernie Sanders spoke a lot. I don't know. A lot of people were saying that they didn't let him speak and that he didn't speak a lot. I think Bloomberg was going to be the last one to speak because he was the one that a lot of people were kind of like galvanizing against. And I think that's also something we have to be wary of, because Biden isn't a good candidate, but I've seen way too many people online be like, oh, well, shit, like Emma Vigilant. Oh, if it's Biden and Bloomberg, I'm going to go ahead and support Biden. Like, no. Stop thinking in dualities like that. Stop thinking about the lesser of evils. We need to focus on the fact of why Bernie Sanders didn't have the most speaking time when he has won the two last primaries. Why are we still talking about how he's going to pay for Medicare for all when he has answered that 1,000 times? I just don't understand how they get away with asking the same questions about socialism, about his health, and about how he's going to pay for things. It's the same regurgitated question. And so instead of focusing on how bad Bloomberg is, Bloomberg is horrible. And we need to deploy every sort of criticism, just like with Buttigieg, just like we did with Biden and Warren. But we need to stop kind of giving in and saying we're going to go ahead and say, oh, well, Bloomberg's so bad that I would support Biden, that I would support Warren, that I would support Klobuchar. You're going back to the same issue, the same problem that got us Donald Trump in the first place. There's a reason why that doesn't work. It hasn't worked. And so I'm sick of people kind of acting like because Bloomberg is so bad that we all just need to forget how bad everybody else is. And I think that's a danger that I'm seeing as far as the debates and as far as people's response to, wow, Bloomberg's so bad. We need unity. Oh, Warren. Yeah, like, no, that's not going to really move us forward. That's not going to change the system.
Yeah, it could have been by design. It was interesting to see that all the candidates came out swinging at Bloomberg because that's what happened.
I feel it's a distraction, though, in a way. I feel like it's like a setup.
It is.
Like, okay, we all hate on Bloomberg now. Then okay. But at the end of the day, you saw what they did. At the end of the day, they're all going to unite against Bernie Sanders.
Exactly.
And that is something that people need to be wary of 100% right now.
Yeah. Let me ask you another question, too, as well. You talked about Amy Klobuchar. Quickly, who's the president of Mexico?
Are you asking me?
Yeah.
Manuel López Obrador. AMLO, Andres Manuel Lopez Obrador.
You know, she had to read the paper to get the name right.
Yeah, get it right.
I missed that part. I mean, I already knew she didn't know what that was, but yeah.
So they got her on that, and they got her on her the police thing too, and then that was interesting. And then Pete and Amy were going at each other like cat. Oh, it was almost like a cat fight, or I don't know, whatever you want to call it.
That was interesting. Her immigration answer was stupid. What are you gonna do about the Dreamers? I'm gonna win. Like, what kind of answer is that?
I'm gonna beat Donald Trump. I'm gonna beat Donald Trump. Hold that microphone. What about the Buttigieg and Klobuchar people out there? We saw them in New Hampshire, and I was really confused by a lot of them. In fact, a lot of the Klobuchar people said that they in Hart's location. They liked the way she was in the debate and how she handled herself. And today she lost it a little bit. I didn't think she had a good debate at all. She was on the defense. She got upset. I thought Buttigieg kind of held his own as far as his temperament. Like the time he got really upset with Tulsi, he made that face. He was really calm, cool, and collected today. But their supporters, they have a very interesting group of supporters when it comes to Amy Klobuchar and Pete Buttigieg. Have you ran into any of them? And what is their sentiment and their thought process on why they're standing behind the candidates that they're standing behind?
Well, I think Buttigieg supporters are gonna who are with him are gonna like him no matter what, because he sounds good when he speaks. He sounds like a pleasant guy. Oh,
microphone.
I'm gonna be the moderate here. In his closing statement, he basically said, you know, if you don't want a revolution, if you don't want this, look at me. This is what I am. I'm the practical guy here. I'm the logical guy. And that's how he's cementing himself. And I think in a way that takes away from Amy Klobuchar.
Perfect.
Because Amy Klobuchar was trying to be that one. But when her problem is she's kind of too ditzy. She comes off a little too not serious at times. And I think
yeah, I can see that.
She didn't really have it together. So I think that's going to hurt her. And I think Buttigieg is going to do well in Nevada. And that's what I'm scared of, because let's remember he has done consistently well in Iowa and New Hampshire. And now we're going into Nevada, where he has those connections as well, where he has that advertising money, where he has, and I've seen on his webpage the ground game that he is pushing. So I by no means am as afraid of Biden as I am of Buttigieg here in Nevada. I think Buttigieg is once again going to be Bernie's biggest rival when it comes to this caucus. And we're going to go ahead and pretty much investigate everything about the caucuses tomorrow and in in Friday before Saturday, because there is a lot of confusion already. And there was a lot of people who voted early. So I can imagine that the caucus process is going to be very confusing. And Tina and I have decided to go to the Bellagio, I believe is where we're going to go to the caucus, which is where we're told the majority of the shenanigans happen, at the casinos.
Yeah.
So.
Well, casinos are places where shenanigans do happen, so we want you to keep a good eye on that for us, and that's going to be great. So you'll be at the Bellagio on Saturday. Tomorrow, if you can catch up with somebody, try to get a little explanation about how this voting works, this early voting, this ranked choice voting, how it's going to work into a caucus. I just don't understand it. I can't stand the caucus system. It seems like there's a lot of areas left open for shenanigans. And make sure you stay at the caucus until they kick you out of the room.
Yeah, it seems like they pulled it out of nowhere, because the campaign didn't know until it was already happening, unfortunately. And this is why
early voting?
a lot of us have been on the campaign, because they can't catch everything. And so what happened is that they had to go do a ranked choice voting of 3 candidates in order. And if they didn't do that, their ballot was going to be invalidated. But the early voting is weird because it ended yesterday. So there's no early voting anymore from today all the way until Saturday is when it starts back up. So the early voting ended on the 18th. So there's no more early voting going on in Nevada.
Well, fam, I think you need to keep us updated tomorrow. Let's see if we can get a hold of some poll worker out there. Let's talk about the Bernie Sanders campaign on the ground over there, the grassroots. Can you hear me? You still there?
Yes.
Okay. So we're in New Hampshire. We saw in New Hampshire that the grassroots was a little bit more connected to the campaign, unlike what's going on in California, where we see just a muddying of the waters. There's a lot of bumping heads. They don't seem to understand what's going on with the rules in our election system, and where we've been kind of reporting on it. How is it in Nevada? Is there a good connection between the grassroots campaign and the actual campaign itself?
I think it's a mix. I mean,
Microphone.
I've heard from our friend Crow that the campaign was very inclusive to him here. Pretty much took him under his wing, and was working with him. They had zero issues that were had in LA as far as that goes. So I do see that it's a little bit more inviting, but you have to remember that the campaign here is literally like Las Vegas and Reno. There's really nothing else. This is a very small state population-wise compared to California. And in Los Angeles alone, I mean, look at how many people we have. So I think that's also part of it. But as far as the camaraderie goes, there's definitely a better relationship. However, I do have to say that there were several people talking about being pushed out since before, when they were here in 2016. The Latino community didn't feel like they were included enough, and to a certain degree, but more so the community of activists here that didn't feel like they were hired in the right way. But as far as the campaign here so far, it's been going really well. Nina Turner was here. Tina and I covered that. We're going to post it later. Amy Viella, who is a national surrogate as well, who had the daughter who passed away because they couldn't pay her Medicare bills. And also Dr. Octavia Dooley, who is also obviously a doctor and a campaign surrogate, was talking about Medicare for all, and she's also African American, so they're from the community here. So
Nice.
There is that kind of like, small community. I think that's the problem in our state, and particularly in the Southern California region, where there's just a lot of people, a lot of heads, and there's been that disconnect, which is unfortunate because we really have a lot of shenanigans to deal with. So.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's a really powerful lineup. You talked about Dr. Octavia Dooley, Amy Vilela, Nina Turner. You're getting to see some great people out there, fam. So keep up the good work, and we'll see you soon. Sound good?
Sounds good, fam.
Thank you so much. Those are our boots on the ground. Fiorella Isabel. Tell Tina I said keep warm.
Bye, fam. We're interviewing more people. Talk to you later.
Well, all right. Thank you so much. Great job. Those are our boots on the ground. That was Fiorella Isabel live from Vegas. Thank you for joining us on our ROKFIN exclusive today of the coverage of the debate, the Democratic debate, live. We did it from Nevada. Johnny, you got anything to wrap us up before we get on out of here? I can see a super chat contribution, by the way, from Mitch Osborne. According to Dan Roll, local Nevada Blue Check on Twitter, he says there have been over 70,000 early votes cast. And I'm very confused about how they're going to go.
What?
This is the first time they've ever done early voting here.
How is this even working? Okay, look. I'm just going to show this process.
Please do.
Pretend I'm a Nevada voter. I want to see where my polling place is.
Go ahead.
Voter search. You have to put your first name, your last name, your date of birth, and your license card number, and your last digits of your Social Security.
I can't see it.
To be able to find out where your
polling spot is.
Your
precinct.
Yeah.
Your caucus.
It says voter search. So that's what it goes to. So I'm confused because I'm trying to find out where all the precincts are so we can send people there. Yeah. But it looks like you need your first, last name, date of birth, ID number, and Social Security. But the elections are democratic and fair.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I know as a first-time guy, Johnny, for yourself coming out and seeing this has got to be just startling to see how our election systems, American elections, are just, they're engineered. It's terrible. It's disgusting. It's all by design. Think about how many times they've done this over and over and over and over again. And every single year, every single election, it doesn't seem to be getting better. It seems to be getting worse. And that's by design because the American people are taking it laying down, and it really does stink. So I don't even know what's going to happen in Nevada. I think it's going to be a shit show. The caucus there last time in 2016 was awful, and I'm not expecting much more improvement from last time. Who knows? We can only cross our fingers and hope. Maybe Bernie Sanders will get the majority of the votes and the alliance again, but still lose in the delegate count. I still don't know what's going on.
That's the real question. What is he going to do there?
Yeah.
That's the real question.
And then after this Saturday, we're going to get early. 10 o'clock, we'll be starting on the ROKFIN, covering the caucus in Nevada. A week later, we will be in South Carolina. We'll be in the studio. We won't be here, but we will be covering the South Carolina caucus. And then 3 days after that, the first Super Tuesday, we are going to concentrate mostly on our home state because that's where we have had consistent boots on the ground and been working with activists to find out what's what. We've been reporting a lot of stuff, what's going on in California. We are not happy, and we will see how it will turn out. But if you haven't seen the video, what's it called, Johnny? Undocumented or Uncounted? The one when TYT was good. Uncounted. 2017, I believe they made it. 2016, after the 2016 primary. What took place in California? Well, guess what? We're trying out a new system, a closed-sourced AccuVote system. They have not been clear about what you need to do, so you will not end up with a provisional. What we see written in the KDEM website says that if you haven't registered or changed your party affiliation by the 18th, which was yesterday, you will receive a provisional ballot. Meanwhile, the registrar and his assistant, the registrar is Dean Logan, the assistant Jeff Klein has been going around, and we have this on film saying that, hey, don't worry about it. With the new vote center system, you can show up the day of vote, and it's open 11 days early. Change your registration and cast your vote. What he doesn't tell you is that you will receive a provisional ballot, and that is a big no-no. So we're going to get out of here right now. We have some things to cover on Friday. Hopefully when we get out there, there's a couple Bernie Sanders rallies or small little meetings. We're going to try to get in the room, see what we can do, see what's going on as far as it's a get-out-the-vote rally. So we're going to see how the Senator Bernie Sanders team addresses the voting issues in California, because it's going to be really, really bad. And I am going to guess and make a prediction that Jonny Tsunami will be in tears that night after he sees the shit show that goes down, because I was in tears last time.
What night?
On Super Tuesday.
Super Tuesday.
Yeah. My prediction is you're going to see what's going to go down in California, and it's going to be so disheartening you're going to cry.
Maybe. I don't know. It's already, there's so much bullshit going on. I can't.
Yeah, that shouldn't be happening.
These systems are overcomplicated on purpose, and it just doesn't make any sense. And I'm looking through the Nevada website, and here's their page. It says how and where to vote. Where's my polling location? Open link and voter search. That's the page. You have to put in your first name, your last name, your date of birth, your ID number, your social security to find out where your polling place is. So that's very, democratic. It's not democratic. It's fucking bullshit.
It is. So that's it. We're going to get out of here for the night, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for holding on and waiting for us. Sorry about the technical difficulties. We were glad to get it up. We had over 250 people on the ROKFIN watching with us. Election season's just getting started. The CONVO couch will be out there, boots on the ground in the studio, covering it, doing what we have to do to bring truth to power, because that's what we want to do. We are election integrity people, and we will continue to bring you up to date on any shenanigans going down and get out the result. For Pasta Jardula and Johnny Sue on the ones and twos, don't forget to join us Saturday early as we cover the Nevada caucuses here on ROKFIN. CONVO out.
Peace.